Well, welcome everyone to this episode of Stories for Healing. I'm very pleased and humbled to say that we are in our third calendar month of these stories. It was a project that began towards the end of October. I thought that maybe a few days of storytelling would get us through the stress that we were all experiencing. And of course, the stress was bigger than that, but so was the really upswelling of interest and support that came from the storytelling community. It's really been quite marvelous. People have come from around the world to tell stories of healing, of reconciliation, of transformation, of growth. And it's obvious that you all are getting something from it, as are we, storytellers. And we tell our stories. We also heal from in that process. It's a really marvelous thing. And so today, I'm very happy to have a storyteller who's with us today, Sangitaa Sehgall. And Sangeeta has a story for us. Please, Sangeeta, tell us a story.
Thank you, Jim, for the warm welcome. I'm very happy to be here and delighted to be telling you a story. So, the story that I have chosen to tell today is from the Mahabharata, the epic Hindu poem that talks about the Battle of Kurukshetra, among other things. This battle was very, very significant in many ways for especially the Hindus. And this story is from perhaps 2 days before the battle actually started. The battle of Kurukshetra was fought between the Pandavas and the Kauravas to decide who would ascend the throne of Hastinapur. And so, once this was decided, a very, very big ground needed to be cleared because many ancient kingdoms also joined as allies with the rival groups. And so this was going to be the biggest battle ever fought on the soil of India. And for this big battle to be fought, it was very important to clear a big enough ground for the legions of troops, the thousands of elephants and the horses to engage in the battle. So it was that a huge ground was being prepared. And my story is from the time when there were 2 days left for the battle to begin. The last of the trees were being uprooted. The last of the rocks, big and small, were being cleared. And at that point of time, one day, a mahout, a driver of an elephant, took the elephant to one of the remaining trees to uproot it. Now, as soon as the elephant struck it with its forehead forcefully to loosen up the soil and to loosen up the roots for it to be ultimately uprooted, a sparrow's nest that was there on one of the branches fell down on the hard rocky ground below. The mother sparrow flew up with a squawk, and the 4 fledglings that were there in the nest just fell along with the nest down onto the ground. The mother sparrow flew back down and looked into the nest to see if her babies were safe. They were safe. By some miracle, they were safe. The mother sparrow had never felt more helpless in her life. She looked everywhere around her. Work was going on. There was a haze of dust all around, and there were elephants and people working because the battle was to begin in 2 days. And then she saw a chariot at a far, far distance, a very far distance. There was a chariot. And to her utmost surprise, to her pleasant surprise, one of the two people that were there in the chariot was Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna was there. He himself was there. There was no time to be wasted. And the sparrow, with one last look at the nest, at her babies, started flying towards the chariot. And we can imagine, for a little sparrow with its tiny little wings, how far the distance was. But that was not the time for her to think and to be scared. She just started flying with all her might towards the chariot. And when she reached the chariot finally, she was so tired, so out of breath, that all she could do was to sit and at a place where she was exactly opposite Lord Krishna. She had never in her life thought that she would get an opportunity to meet God. Her eyes closed automatically, her head bowed spontaneously, folding her wings. She just sat there singing her praises to God. Her little heart was thumping, not only because she had flown such a long distance, but also because she was in the presence of God. She waited there, singing her praises to God. And after a long while, when she opened her eyes, she saw that Lord Krishna was looking into her eyes directly. He had been mindful of that little bird as she sat there, singing her praises to him. Lord, my babies, my little fledglings who have not yet learned how to fly, who are very, very young, have fallen down onto the ground. And they will be crushed to death by the many elephants, by the many men who are working, clearing the grounds. Please save my babies, God. Please save my babies. They will die. They are very helpless. They can't fly, God. Please help me. I hear you. I hear you, my little one. I feel you. But the universe runs on certain laws. I cannot interfere with those laws, my dear. I know what you're going through. I'm very sorry that you need to go through all this, to this experience. I can't do anything to help you. I can't believe that. You are God. You can do anything, everything. You are our creator. You love us like a father. How can you say you can't do anything? My children have not harmed anyone. They're too helpless. How is it just that they die? You have to save them. Not even a leaf can flutter without your permission. And you're saying you can't do anything. How do I believe that, God? My little bird, I hear you. But the wheel of time turns. And whatever happens, happens. I don't know what is the wheel of time. I don't know any such complex theories. I only know that my little helpless fledglings are right now on the ground in the battlefield, and they might get crushed to death any minute now as we speak. I know you can save them. I have faith. And I came to you because of that faith. You cannot not save them. Please save them, God. Please save them. They don't deserve to die. They don't deserve to die. Lord Krishna was quiet for some time. And then he said, go, store food for 21 days. I will do that. I will do anything and everything you want me to do to save my babies. Yes, I will do that. I will return and collect food for 21 days in the next 2 days. Thank you, God. Thank you for your promise to help me. Thank you. And now I must go. I must go now to my babies. Thank you. Thank you so much. Saying that, the bird turned around and started her long journey back to the nest. She saw that her little fledglings were safe. They were chirping happily. They didn't know what had happened. They were very happy to see their mother, and they cheeped their welcome. Soon it was the day when the battle was supposed to begin. The armies on both the sides were ready, the humongous armies. All the troops, the cavalry, the elephants, they were just waiting for the signal to start engaging in the battle. On the Pandava side, Arjuna's chariot was heading the army. Lord Krishna and Arjuna were in it. When Lord Krishna got up and silently reached for Arjuna's bow, and then he said to Arjuna, who was one of the 5 Pandavas, give me an arrow, Arjuna. An arrow? Lord, you said that you will not engage in the battle. Didn't you say that you will just be the driver of my chariot? That you will not engage in the war at all? Krishna just reached out and took out one bow from Arjuna's quiver. And then he took aim. He took aim and let the arrow fly. The arrow went and struck a big metal bell around one of the elephant's neck. And the bell, the big metal bell, fell down. Lord, you seem to be out of practice. Do you want to kill the elephant? You should have told me. I'm the best archer in the world. I would have done that for you. Do you want me to kill the elephant? Let me kill the elephant for you. Arjuna, that elephant was the elephant that was driven by its mahat to push against the tree that had the sparrow's nest. It is because of his pushing the tree with his forehead that the nest had fallen down onto the ground. Sparrow? Sparrow's nest? It's all right. Blow the conch, Arjuna. Let the battle begin. Arjuna blew the conch. It was as if nature stopped breathing. Not a sound was heard for a few moments after the conch was blown. Every leaf of every single tree around the battlefield was still. Everyone and everything, nature itself was waiting with bated breath for that battle to be fought, waiting for the outcome of that battle. And then started the battle that raged for 18 long days. What a battle it was. The desire for the throne of Hastinapur was so strong that not a single soldier was thinking of anything beyond winning that. Each and every soldier on either side put in all that he had to win the throne for his side. 18 long days, the battle continued for 18 long days. The Pandavas won. And the battlefield was a gory showcase for every face of destruction possible. It was filled with mangled bodies of man and animal. It is said that 1.6 billion people died in that battle. But the Pandavas won. They ascended the throne of Hastinapur. On the 19th day, Krishna said to Arjuna, let's go visit the battlefield. Arjuna was confused. He knew what he would see over there. He was a little reluctant. No, more than a little reluctant. But then, as usual, he didn't question Lord Krishna. And so they both went to the battlefield in the chariot and then got down and then started walking through the battlefield. It was what it should have been after such a battle. What else could they have seen but the different faces of destruction? They picked their way through. Then suddenly Lord Krishna saw a bell, a big metal bell. He said to Arjuna, will you please pick up that bell and put it to one side? Again, Arjuna was confused. With so much destruction around, Lord Krishna wanted a metal bell to be put aside. Not the body of someone who was a respected man or something like that. He wanted a big metal bell to be put aside. He just looked at Lord Krishna, the question in his eyes and on his face. But as usual, he didn't ask a question. He sat down to pick up that bell, while the question still remained in his mind and in his eyes and on his face. Things had started coming together in his mind. Things from here and there, some words of Lord Krishna from here and there. So he was almost expecting what happened when he picked up the bell. Because as soon as he picked up the bell, 5 sparrows flew out happily, chirping from under the bell. They flew up and they started circling above Lord Krishna's head, singing their praises to him. While Arjuna just stood up quietly, his heart overcome. He could only stand there rooted to the ground and weep quietly. And Lord Krishna, with the birds circling above his head, was just looking at them with a smile, so happy in their happiness. And when Lord Krishna had finally sent them away with all his blessings, when he turned to Arjuna, Arjuna fell at the Lord's feet and washing his feet, his lotus feet, with his tears, he said, God, you behave so much like a human being, so much like a brother, a friend, that I sometimes forget who you are. You are Lord Krishna. You are God. And only you could have done justice to both the sparrows and to the elephant with just one arrow. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sangeeta. What a beautiful telling. A rich episode from a very long tale. Very, very nice. What drew you to that particular episode?
Uh, I must tell you that I almost instantly connected to this story. It's because I have that kind of faith in God.
Uh-huh.
I am not into rituals or anything else, but I have this relationship with God myself, and He has always had my back, like
Hmm.
the one, like He had the back of the sparrows, and I really connected it also because faith is something that we all need, especially during these times,
Hmm.
and it gave me a lot of hope, and it kind of helped hold me together.
Hmm. Hmm.
I found a lot of strength when I first read this story.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like I told you, it was an instant connection,
Sure,
Jim.
sure. Yeah. Well, and it seems to me the sparrow had two things that she needed, and one was the faith and trust, and the other was her willingness to plead and to argue and to say, No, I'm not satisfied. You must be able to do something for me."
It's that faith, it's that real belief that God is your father
Hmm. Hmm.
that gives you that strength to sit and even argue with him. I
Right.
argue with God so many times. I do
Well,
that.
and many of us do, but there are others who are not as comfortable with that. But this story teaches us that we have to have both. We have to be able to have faith, and that com- bundled with that faith is also the recognition that it's okay for us to plead and to argue and to
It's
push.
actually, strange how vulnerability, faith, and all this go together. And it
Yeah.
is when you believe in a relationship, it
Hmm.
is your closest friend who you can argue with. You
Yes.
cannot argue with everyone, isn't it, Jim?
Right. Right.
And when you actually take God as your closest friend, so to speak,
Yeah.
then you can do that.
Yeah.
I have that relationship with God.
Oh, that's great. Yes. I want to thank everyone for coming and listening to this wonderful episode. As I mentioned, we have storytellers coming from around the world. It's hard to get further around the world than Sangeeta and I, but we're close in heart and we're close in what we wish for each other and for ourselves. Um, and that is, the ability to say, I need to see a little change here, and I'm willing to uh, ask for it, but also push for it, and also have faith that it will happen if I do what I need to do. So thank you very much. Come listen to the stories. You can find them archived either on the Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. Um, tell stories to each other. Work together to figure out what it is that you'd like to see different, and have faith that if you do work together, something good can come of that. And visit us on our next episode whenever that happens to come your way. Thank you.